Hi, Andy.
Morning, Amanda. How are you?
Good morning.
Are you
I'm
good?
doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing great,
I
thank
am.
you. Great. I just want to message
Good.
Shanti quickly and check she's
Okay.
all right. Okay, just let me see. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening, so it will be you and me today. I'm not sure. Maybe she'll join.
Okay.
Sometimes people have. So today is very standing on the key vocabulary, and it's basically very,
Okay.
very connected to our previous workshop that we had, right? When we
Okay.
when we discussed, and this is uh, kind of an approach that has a lot of freedom for you because there's a lot of ways to expand on vocabulary and making sure
Yes.
your students understand. And so this is also just about understanding and checking
Mm,
understanding, making sure that they can use it. Let me just move my
yes.
cereal bowl and making sure that they really get the not just what the lesson is about, but the words that's describing
Mm,
material in the lesson, right?
yes.
So
Yeah.
I know that a lot of teachers sometimes they like to stick to one type of thing to kind of like expand on vocabulary. A lot of teachers, especially online, we don't have a lot of like options to do a lot of different things. We can play some games, we
Mm,
can do an extra activity, but it's not always possible to kind of take too much time away from the actual lesson
mm,
material. And in a lot of
Mm,
situations, the lesson material is already um so well structured that teachers don't need to expand on key vocabulary so much. Remember, it's always necessary to do it, so it doesn't mean that don't do it. We should
mm,
always expand in whatever way that we can and make sure that
yes.
it sticks. But sometimes different schools,
Yeah.
different companies, different lesson materials, they have like our lesson material that we have at Happy Teachers. Like that's like on for certain levels of English, it depends on which level. Some levels I think have
Mm,
amazing like expansion activities or things on key vocabulary. And then other levels I think, whoa, that's not
mm,
nearly enough. And then you have to know what to add or how to make sure that you
mm,
expand on the key vocabulary. So it's also about preparing the lesson and also checking out the lesson
mm,
before you actually teach
mm.
it, because we
Yes.
as teachers,
Yeah.
we can't, well, not a lot of teachers, I mean, I've tried it before, where you just open the class and you just open the lesson material for the first time, and you kind of like, oh, like, what am I going to do with this, like, oh, how, and you kind of like
Mm,
play around with it, and afterwards you realize I wasn't really successful in conducting this class. So it's very important for us
okay.
to enable yourself as a teacher to look at the lesson material before,
Mm,
read through it. It's so short that it'll take you less than half an hour. You can do it while you listen to music or something. It's anyway
mm,
suggested that we as teachers prepare ourselves and get familiar with the lesson material. There's a lot of great online
okay.
teachers out there, and they can just open a lesson for the first time and they can do a great job conducting that lesson to whatever level the student might be. I don't like to take those chances because I care about my students, and
Mm,
I'm not familiar with, like, I was not. Now I am quite familiar with our lesson material. But
mm,
before this, I had a totally different structure of lesson material, totally different layout. It was just different. So I was able to sometimes, not always, just open the lesson material for the first time. We've all done it before. There's no shame in it. If
mm,
you have sculpted yourself as an online
mm,
teacher and you have made it possible for yourself to kind of grow and kind of be quick thinking and being able to design games and activities on the fly as your lesson is going, that's great. Then you can do stuff like that, and then you can
Yeah.
expand on key vocabulary easy. I make no secret of it. Like I've told you guys in some workshops and meetings and things before, that I really enjoy preparing. I like to prepare. I like to know, because that's the best way. Your class will be so great, will have such great flow. Your student will know exactly what to do. You know your student, so you know what to plan. You know, if I have Amanda on Monday at 11, you know, to prepare the Sunday evening, or make sure that you have it ready for Amanda. If she's a level 0 student and she jumps up and down in class and she starts crying, you know what to do. You know, there's ways to work around it. What will I use to expand on key vocabulary with Amanda? I will use more pictures. Maybe I will use video. You know, we get provided videos, but I don't think there's any harm in checking with authorities to make sure, oh, I have this 20 or 30-second clip that I want to add to class. Is it okay? And if they say no, that's okay. You find another way. It's about trying
Yeah.
different ways. It's about seeing what works for your student, because I can expand on key vocabulary with you in a way that I can't do the same with Shandy or with Karen or with someone else. You know, I'm now making that you are students.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that, because we have different level students, you have to find kind of the right balance and the right way to make sure that you have something that works between you and your student, to for the student to get the maximum out of the lesson material, because you want them to walk away knowing that,
Yes.
feeling confident that they understand.
Mm.
So enough of my
Mm.
babbling. That's basically very clear. I just kind of like, wanted to summarize and wanted to clarify why expanding on key vocabulary is important, because we can talk about fruits and
Thank you.
vegetables, right? It's a pleasure. We can talk about fruits and vegetables, and one of the keywords can be tomato, you know but the sentence can be, I like tomatoes, or I like a tomato, or a tomato is red. But the student might not understand the word like. They know what a tomato is, but maybe they've never heard of the word like. What are you going to do exactly? So it's about making sure
Yeah.
that they understand everything that they're teaching. And this sounds like something that can take a lot of time. It's not about teaching them every word of the sentence. They already have a general knowledge of understanding and hearing English. So they know what sounds right, and they know what it sounds like to communicate in English. It's about them understanding new words that you introduce to them in a comfortable conversational way.
Yes.
So, which
Yeah.
of
Makes
these
sense.
exactly, right? And I think it's just something that we sometimes forget, because we as teachers also we panic, and then we like, "Oh, I only have 25 minutes, or I only have 30 minutes, like I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to so you are scared, and the moment that that happens is because you haven't found a way that works with you and your student. You have to find something that actually works with your student. So I do understand that we can get nervous when your students like, what does it mean? Like, what does this mean? And you kind of have to stop. And yeah, sure, if you take a minute or two extra to explain that word to the student, you did it. You make sure that the student will
Yes.
understand the word for the rest of his or her life, hopefully.
Mm.
So,
Yes. Yeah. No, it makes definitely 100% makes sense.
exactly. So which one of these lessons, let's put us up there. Which one of these lessons would you want to show? You have two. I have all three here.
Yes. I have student level 3
I'm gonna
and
give you, you
pop
can go
stars and
ahead.
my bedroom.
You can close, and
Okay,
which
cool.
ones
I'll
you don't
quickly.
like, I'm just here to listen to you, and then we'll
Cool.
chat
Thank
about
you.
it.
I
It looks
appreciate.
Looks like it
Okay,
might
cool.
just be the two of
I
us,
love,
so we
I
have
love
lots of time.
a lot of time.
I'm not sure
Sorry,
what
that you have
happened.
to me early.
No, I don't know what
Yeah,
happened
they
to
didn't message you,
Shanley.
but it's okay.
Maybe she messaged me. I'll check. I'll
Okay, no,
check
not a
after.
problem.
Okay.
Okay, no, not a problem. No, I love expanding on vocabulary. I actually wanted to say that I had a student yesterday. He's on student level 1 and it was unit 4, lesson 6. And that was all about understanding sun picture and sunny. So his class was amazing to see how he understood words. And for example, it's sunny day, or, it's sunny, or he had sentences that was slightly incorrect, and I could help him to understand the difference between sun and sunny. So like you said, hopefully it's stuck to him that he could do that. So yeah, we'll have to see, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I'm
I think
sure
it went really well.
sure if you that's the thing about finding what works, especially with things like that. That's so easy. It's easy for us to understand, and you might think, the student's gonna get that. But that might be like
Mm,
kind of a challenge for them. So testing these methods will help
yeah,
you realize what is the level that I can push the student to remember, to practice,
yeah,
and send them home with something. And even it's not necessarily a
yeah.
homework, but you can send them home with after class with something and say, you know, um,
Mm,
look outside when you go outside, and then tell your mom what weather it is, and tell her it's sunny weather, or the sun is shining, or whatever
yeah.
the vocabulary is. It's not
Yes,
homework,
yeah,
it's just making
yeah,
sure that they practice it in their daily life. And believe me, if they
yeah.
like you and you've built a bond with your student over the time, they will do it. You don't even need proof that they did it. These small little
Mm,
activities at home. You just know that they will. I promise you that they will. So it's all about
okay.
the connection
I'll
as
work on
well.
that. I'll work on Yeah, I'll work on the homework, because what I've been doing with my students currently is I've been giving them all the struggle words that they've shown in the class. I'll go and type it for them and say, hey, you did good today. Here are some words you can practice at home. And they were like, thank you, teacher, whatever. But I think homework more could be awesome. But okay, this is
Yeah.
the first one. I love expanding, like I said, on vocabulary. I love expanding because this is where you can actually talk to the student, get to their level, talk slightly slower, and with the picture that you gave me, the head, I
hmm
could obviously now I can show you now. So with this picture, with even the warm up, I would say, "What do you see? What is missing?" And then I would show them like, "What is this?" And then they would just pronounce it. And then we'll say, "Okay, let's say that word 3 times. Hair." And then you go for it. And then I have hair, and they would say, "I have hair," or they'll mispronounce it until I'm happy with how they say it in the word or the sentence. So
That's
I
right.
have learned on how to get the sentence out. I'm even trying to speak less so that they can speak more. So I've got this thing where I'm like saying them, what's the sentence? So they can see I need a sentence, not just a word. I need a sentence. So for
I
this
call
one,
that
I took
I
a
call
example.
that you just explained. I'm just drawing something quickly for you, and this is something that I call
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the steps. I take it steps. So you want to take them higher
Okay.
and higher and higher. So what you do is exactly what you did now. Is you
Mm,
introduce the word in step one, you know, and then you
mm,
introduce the word like in a full sentence, and you say I have hair, which
mm,
is the next step, and then you take it to a
mm,
third step, and then you put descriptive words, and you use I
mm. I
have
have brown hair,
curly
whatever.
hair or brown
Curly
hair
hair.
or
Mm,
whatever. And that's the
mm,
great way to expand on key vocabulary, is to do those steps. But it's basically just what you said, but I
mm.
think that's quite clear. Oh, let me not move your
Yeah.
head. Just want to
Awesome. No
get rid of
problem.
that.
It's okay.
Okay.
But that makes
You
perfectly sense. I'll also try
Yeah,
and keep that in mind because you want to obviously keep it onto sentences that they use daily. So not just like I have a red Ferrari in Rustenburg or whatever. You things that's
exactly.
in their sentence. Okay. Anyway, so this one is all about bangs and braids and what does he have and curly hair and see how they pronounce it. So back to this word, I'd say learn and read. And then I would say some students actually go and they are at a level that they can already read the full sentence. If I ask them only to read curly hair, and then they would go on their own saying he has
Yeah.
curly hair. So then I'll practice that, making sure that they just first grasp what I want them to say, that I want to hear. So I say curly hair, and then they would say curly hair, and then he has curly hair, and then I make sure that they, just like you explained now, the steps. That's exactly what I've been doing. So he has curly hair. He has brown curly hair, or like yesterday's class
Yeah.
or the class before. She has blue eyes. She has blue eyes and brown hair, to expand the sentence even more. If they're at that level, and I see that they are comfortable with just giving me that small sentence. So what I would do to introduce this, obviously, is this little slide here. What I do is I would say, where do they go? For example, this is just something that I quickly drew up yesterday to see where they took, where they would put and where they would understand it. So I'd ask them, like, where should this go? And then hopefully they would put it here. And then what do we call that? What
Ah.
is that? And then ask them the beard. And then, can you place this for me? Is this correct? Should it go here? Should it go here? Yes, no, yes, yes, there. What do we call that? It is called bangs or whatever. And then, or the same with this one as well. And then I did the same with those two as well. So I'm going to just move slightly down now.
Yeah.
And then also here, I got this from the previous, I think the first workshop actually, or out of that How Classing Works video.
Uh-huh.
And I've implemented this before now, so that we roll the dice and then they name the missing word. And once they know the word, then I can obviously just take it off and then do it like that, for example, now. So they have to roll the dice first,
Exactly.
and they get very excited with they get so excited with rolling the dice. So that is
Yes, they
just the
like
two
it.
ways that I just want to explain. Like, yes, they do. They
Yes.
actually they go crazy for it. They love it.
And you
So
can
this is
use any of the
one.
lesson material that you have and open it if you have six animals, or if you have six body parts, or if you have six vegetables, or you can
Yes.
just take out the dice for that, because the
Mm,
dice has six sides. So if
yeah.
you want to create an activity or a game or something on the fly, and you're like, oh, I need something extra, take out the dice. Let them roll the
Mm,
dice. It's
yes.
interactive. I
Mm,
love numbering everything. I don't think I make a secret of that. I put
mm.
numbers with everything because that means it's
Yeah.
just better reference for them, so that they can know exactly what to look at. They
Mm,
get familiar with the word, it's not only about like expanding on key vocabulary, is not just about the student understanding how to use it and understanding the meaning. It's also about getting familiar with the sound, and getting familiar what the word looks like. Strangely enough, we sometimes forget
yes.
about the students, especially the younger ages. They see the word bedroom and they remember what it looks like. Like one of my students said once,
Mm,
the word bed looks like a bed. And I'm like, wait, what? The word bed looks like a bed. And I actually looked at the word, me as a 29-year-old, and I looked at it for the first time. And look at it. I mean, you can see that, right? It looks like a bed.
yes. It
Exactly.
does. Oh my
Exactly.
word.
And I have
Crazy.
never, I know, this happened to me like a few weeks ago, when one of my students, I think it was Noah, in
Wow.
a level 0 student, and a pre-level student, and he said, he said, teacher, the word bed looks like, he's 4 years old. He's four. And he said that. And
What?
my mind was like
Crazy. How
blown.
cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Absolutely, that's absolutely so. Obviously, like you say, this one now, and actually, I also have made the mistake twice where I love typing. I love typing sentences, so that I'll say, okay, the bedroom is purple. And then I will like I will, for example, I'll make a mistake and have like a spelling error, and then I
Uh-huh.
actually have a student that teacher, it's oh not a you, and I'm okay, well done, thank you. And then that also, my mistake helps me show that they actually know how to spell the
Exactly.
word and understand it. So that's awesome.
And then what you can do to take it further with that student, of course, you can try and test it with a
Mm,
different student on a different level, but you
mm,
can do it on purpose. when you type out sentences,
Okay.
you can be the actress and you can type out the sentence and you know where you will make the mistake. They don't know, and you type it and you're
Yeah.
confident and everything, and then you watch them and you make them read it and see if they get it. If they don't get it, ask them to read it again
Mm,
and see if they can realize. That's also testing their focus. And then you ask them,
mm,
is that, if they don't get
yeah.
it at all, you ask them like, is that right? But testing them and being
Yeah.
making spelling errors on purpose. I've done that quite a few
Mm,
times,
okay.
and it works a lot.
Okay. Okay. I'll definitely give it a try. I haven't actually given thought to that, but I'll definitely put that into practice. So that actually, like, is that word correct?
Yeah,
What do you think? Like, I try to literally get down to their level. Like, what do you think? Like
exactly.
trying to get in there. So obviously, this one is now obviously the second one. Where's that one now? So
You
let me
can
put this one
close
quickly
that one
aside
if you
and
don't
get
need
that
it,
one.
okay? Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one. You can
Down
just
that
close it.
one. Cool. So this one. This one. So obviously it's now the bed, the pillow. So what I like to do is in class when I prepare beforehand, before waiting for the students, I like to go and screenshot and take the pictures off and put them randomly and see how I can use them in the game. Or if I haven't created something long before, then I can quickly create something like you just said now. I've got 5-7 minutes
Yes.
beforehand. So this is what I like to do as well. And this part I would normally put myself down here, like at the bottom. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's time for them to give the review, the last part, I take myself up and more of a bigger frame that they have to tell me now what they've learned in the whole lesson. So that's what I like to
Yeah.
do with this one. But to show you just how I quickly created this one, I was exactly to give them the items and tell me where does it go. And like with the first one, what's its name? Does it go here or does it go here? It's a pillow and it's on the bed. And just to make sure that that small, like for this one, I think this is a student level, pre-level, 0. And
Yeah.
I would ask him to talk, where does this go? And what do we call it again? Is it a curtain or is it a what do you call it? And then obviously like play dumb, like you said now. And also with a pillow, is it a dog? Is it a pillow? It's a pillow, whatever the case may be. So I love expanding on vocabulary. And then also, where does the picture go? Does it go on the bed? No. Does it go on the wall? Yes. Or whatever the case now may be with this
That's
one.
right.
I haven't had this specific lesson yet, but
Mm-hmm.
just to quickly see how I would up and see how they would give it. And pillow. Let's quickly make a sentence. The pillow is on the bed. I like typing out so that they can read the sentence and practice using it, or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
So, and the bed is in the bedroom. For example, see, I type quickly fast, and that's why I make such
Yeah.
big errors in the bedroom. So that's how I should just do that more, like you said now. More,
That's right. Yeah.
yeah,
Do it on
just make the
purpose
make the error on,
and
on, on
check it
purpose.
and check it with
Yeah.
different levels. Maybe for level 0, not of I don't like calling it level 0, the pre-level. Maybe they don't.
Yes.
Some of them can read actually, which is great. So if they can read, you can do it. But
Mm,
test it for all the levels. You can test it
mm,
with a different lesson material, and you can test the same thing
mm,
with the spelling errors. My students, like all of them, like, because I also type fast sometimes and I write something and then they will be like, no, that's not, you need two G's for eggs, or it's not vegetable with an A, it's vegetable with an E, or something like that. That means
mm.
that they know the
Yeah.
spelling, and of course that's also in there. You're also checking pronunciation, you know, because
Yes,
they
definitely.
because
And
they
also,
will
like you
tell
like
you
you said
what's
now
the right word.
with
Yes, yes.
yes, like also another thing that like you said now, for example, to check if they understand the spelling, like how do we spell this, like W or whatever the case may be, to also see
Mm-hmm.
how do we spell it. If I see that they've went through the lesson so fast and I still need to make up for the time, I'll practice to say, okay, let's draw the pillow, or let's write pillow, or whatever the case may be. And then
Exactly.
I'll give them, even for example, I'll give them the small blackboard. They also like that to draw. and then I'll go and write because I can see where they write, and then I go write there as well. And that's how we can see, okay, how's the spelling? How do they write? And I also get them to maintain their focus more if they see how they are writing. So yeah, that's how I expand on
Exactly.
vocabulary.
That's right. And using
So yeah.
some examples and non-examples, which is also another way that I like to expand on vocabulary, is I will take the pillow and the quilt and the bed and all of that, but then I will add something like a kettle and a pot or something like that that does not belong in the bedroom.
Okay, yeah.
And then you ask them,
Okay.
I will put the pot on the bed, like you put the pillows on now, and then you
Mm,
will ask them, is this the right item that I put on the right place? So maybe I will put the pot there where the pillow is, and they say, no, the pot doesn't
mm,
go there, a pillow does, or a pot doesn't go in the
mm,
bedroom, it goes in the kitchen, But also with this, it
mm,
can, you can change the theme to kitchen suddenly, which is not what you want to do because the theme is bedroom. So just make sure that you have the right way to incorporate that. So maybe don't use something that's relevant to the whole course or the whole unit, like the house. Maybe use
mm.
something that's completely outside the house, like a pencil or a book or something like
Okay.
that. Something that can
Okay.
still be
Yeah.
in the bedroom but not relevant to what we're talking about, if you know what I
The
mean, right?
listeners. Okay,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I'll,
exactly.
I'll definitely try to do that.
Yeah,
Get more items and have them ready to see where I can put them, to see
yeah.
what they see, what's on the lesson, what they've been speaking about, what we're talking about, and what's not in the lesson for today.
And also taking a picture, like you have this picture now. I just want to scroll down and show you just do you know the spider structure? I love a spider structure. So what I do, I um, create a spider web, and I will put the theme picture in
Okay.
the middle, and um, ask them, I give them options as well. So with this, I will put for example, the pillow in or the bed in the middle, you know. And for
Mm.
example, I'll put the bed will be there. Let's put a bed. I don't want to ruin your design.
No, go for
I'll put
it.
a bed there, and then over here I'll put a pillow. Over here I will put a snake. Over here I will put a quilt, and over here I will put a cake, you know. And you go around by numbering all of the areas. So this is picture one, picture two, picture three, and picture four. And you go around with picture
Mm,
one. Does picture one belong in the bedroom? It's a snake. Yes, it does. Or no, it doesn't, Um,
mm.
picture two, picture three, picture four, you do the same to see if they understand relevance. And that way,
Okay.
you give them the freedom to try and create their own sentences so that you can check
Okay.
vocabulary as well. This is always a go-to for me.
Mm,
Is making, of course, with the
okay.
higher the level, the more the more things I add, because
Circle. Mm,
depending on the student's speed, or depending on the pace of the student, you can't put like six or eight. So maybe you just put four, or maybe even just three to see how relevant. But for level four, three, four, five student, you can add more of this. But make sure that you don't linger on something like this. With all of this that we have, these
okay.
extra ways, is just to check that we don't linger, but that we kind of make sure that it's shoulder to shoulder with the lesson material. So
Mm,
when you do something like this, you
okay.
know on which page you are on the lesson material, that you haven't gone back, you know, and that you haven't gone ahead of the material, because you want to paste what you are
Yeah.
showing them off of the lesson material on the blackboard, that it correlates
Yes.
and that it kind of links with the lesson material. But that's quite
Okay.
obvious. I
No
know,
problem.
that's not
Cool. No, no,
you know okay. What else do you have for
no, no.
us?
I understand 100%. Thank you. Now I just have those two prepared for
Okay,
these
perfect.
for this two.
let's
Just
take a look.
just show how I would just.
Yeah, let's take a look at this one since we have a few more minutes. I think let's take a look at this one. So I recently started this with a level 5. This is unit 2, lesson 1 of level 5
Okay.
students, and they can speak great English. They always correct me when I do spelling errors. They always they're just like quite bright. So with material like
Yeah. Cool.
this, it's you have to make sure that you kind of act like you are a student, not act like a student, but put yourself in the position of a student. And I tend to try to give them
Mm.
more freedom to teach me things, correct me things, show me things what they want. And but with this, when I introduce stuff like this is about traveling and ways to travel. You can travel with a car, you can travel in a plane, you can travel with a train. I will just pick out
Mm.
a picture. I will cut it out, and I will put it on the blackboard, and I will make an interview. So I will put student and I will rotate. I have 3 of these students in a class. So I will rotate the students and I will put
Okay.
them in an interview setup, and I will say, okay, Amanda, you can ask Andy 3 questions about this picture. You are the interviewer. Ask Andy any 3 questions about this picture that you want to. Of course, you want to make sure that they stick to the relevance of the lesson. So you do that after
Mm.
you've discussed these 2 questions, so that they get familiar with what's going to happen
Okay.
now. What are we talking about? Okay,
Okay.
we're talking about things that we can use to get from one place to another place: transportation, flying, driving,
Mm.
riding, ships, trains, cars, and things like that. So they know, okay, that's where our mind is.
Mm.
Only then you go to things like this, because now they know that they have enough
Okay.
information. This works great for the higher level students. You can try it with the younger level students, of course, seeing or depending
Okay.
on what we have. But this is great for the student, and
Okay.
you give them the total freedom. You can incorporate the timer with this. I put the timer and I'm like, okay, interview, 2-minute interview between Amanda and Andy, and then you switch them around and you put the third
Mm.
student, and then I ask you, and I maybe add another picture. So I will put, instead of the train, I will put a picture of the plane. So that we go through all of that. And the one that's maybe not a part of the one that's not a part, because there will be one over here still, right? That one, if you have 3 students,
Mm.
I have 3. So if there's one over there,
Mm.
then that one is there, and that one can absorb everything that's happening down here. They will get that chance, of course. It works great with 2 students.
Yes.
It will also work great with 1 student, because you and the student is also
Yeah.
fun. You can give the student the freedom um, to ask you questions,
Ask me questions.
and you can
Yeah.
also ask them
Mm.
questions and see what they remember from the lesson material. So you completely eliminate the lesson material and you just put the picture there. And what you can
Mm.
do in addition to this is write down the questions that they ask under. So if you are the interviewer, you can ask me, can a plane fly underwater? You know, and and so
Mm.
that the person, or so the student that's up there, if there's a third one, can also see the question, and not just hear it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's
Mm.
also a way, and you can try
Mm.
this with um different
Oh.
levels of students. And this is a lot of reading. The higher the levels, the more the reading, the more information they have to process.
Yes.
So expanding on key vocabulary
Okay.
becomes more
Mm.
intense, kind of. Not serious, but more intense.
Mm.
It's something that you have to focus on all the time. Even if you
Mm.
think they understand, because I always check. I always ask, okay, do you understand what I just explained? Does that make sense? And they just go like, because they have a lot of
Mm.
homework all the time, all of them. They have loads and loads of homework, and they will be like, yes, teacher, I
Yeah.
understand. And then I see the
Yeah.
faces, and I'm like, I don't really trust that. I don't share that with them, of course. But then I like, okay,
Yeah.
no,
I
I want to
know.
make sure, I want to double check, and I will just take what I do is as well is to make sure I will take the word away using the white
Pencil.
pencil, and
Mm.
I will also take away some of these words. I won't only take away the red words because I want to check
Okay.
everything, the word in the word in question, or not the word in question, but one of the keywords over here is also vacation. It's not just ferry and
Mm.
port, it's also vacation. That's also relevant.
Mm.
And I'll cut it out, and then I can add the timer again. So I'll put Amanda there, and I'll do the same, for Andy, make it a little bit smaller maybe. Do the same for Andy. But of course, you want to give them a different paragraph. Oh, what a word fart I had there now. You want to give them you want to give them different, because if you give them the two of the same right here, then I can just wait for you to finish your words, and then I can just write what you wrote. That's not what we want, right? We want the students to be
Mm.
original, and we want them to think for themselves. So instead of giving Andy that part,
Mm.
you give him one from
A
from the
second slide
yeah, from the second slide, and you do the
from
same
another slide.
by eliminating the
Mm.
words, and then putting the timer and say, okay, you have 1 minute to complete your da, 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 da," and then they go. It's competition, but it's not competition because they have different paragraphs, and it's also fun, especially if the level of English is super
Mm.
comfortable, and they like this. They love
Yeah.
this a lot.
Cool. I'll definitely do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. I've
I
got some more ideas now.
exactly.
Sorry, when you get to when you get to this part and they are at a lower level and it doesn't say if you should read or what the student should read. How do you do it? What I've been doing is I'll see if they are comfortable reading it, or I'll say, okay, I'll read first. Teacher Manda goes first. Then you. Okay, so listen how I say it, and then I'll read it, and I'll give them a chance to read it as well.
Yeah, I will always give my students first turn to read. I will say, okay, we have some reading to do, and then, Amanda, let's read, okay? And then you will see the response. Of course, if you've been with a student for
Mm.
quite some time, you know their ability to read with previous lessons, especially when you move to a new level with a student. If you come from them, or if you've
Mm.
been with them from level 2 and now you're moving on to level 3, which happened to me already, you know what they're comfortable with. So you know
Mm.
they can read. So you can just ask them
Mm.
to read because they love reading. So that's easy. You can just
Okay.
ask them to read, but you can check, okay? What you do is also you can read if the level is a little bit lower, and they are still a little bit like, kind of like, sometimes they just keep quiet. I still have a level 2 student who's a
Mm.
great reader, but he's very afraid of making mistakes when he reads. It's like, kind of, he's scared of embarrassment, and I'm still
Mm.
trying to work with him, regarding, don't worry, it's okay to make a mistake. It's just you and me. Feel comfortable to
Mm.
say the words. So, like,
Mm.
for he's like struggling with October and August. He will call August
Mm.
October, and he will call October